This is part two of our demo. I went ahead and decided to create a new project for a scraper as a quick test. By the way, the first video that we ran, the demo, we ended up using 72 cents to build it. Excuse me. And this one is looking to be about the same price when I checked. So right now, these are getting done for about 80 cents or, basically just under $1. Depends on the size though, right? Like the more rows you have, the more code that's going to be used. And it also depends on the model. If you've got a pretty robust model that's more expensive to run, it's just going to be more expensive. Doesn't mean it's any better. It'll take some testing to see. Anyways, the purpose of this video is to actually show you how to move this code over to, over to Google Sheet. Like, how do we actually take this, get it moved over, and do a little bit of testing? So I'm going to show you my method. I think there's a few ways to do this. Totally up to you, but we can kind of work our way through this. So right now, I went ahead and I froze the first two columns, A and B. That way I can see the file types. What we're going to have is we're going to have two different file types. So we have a GS and a .html, and we'll figure out where to put those. But it should be pretty easy. All we're going to do is go row by row, and we're going to pull out these scripts out of here and just one at a time put them into Google Sheet. So it's a little bit of a manual task with this, but it's not terrible. So the first things first is you're going to go to File, New, and we're going to create a fresh Google Sheet. And then what you'll want to do is go to Extensions, and then App Script. This is where we're building our own private pieces of code. So right now, if you click this plus sign, these are the file types. You'll notice there's only two, script and HTML. So script is the .gs, and HTML is the .html. So we'll go ahead and create those. For this situation, you can actually, I'm just wiping out these files, making them clear. You can actually take all of the code and put it into the same file here to make it a little bit easier. You don't have to build all this out. So one thing I'm going to do, a little trick I'm going to do is I've got this environment for this blank sheet. I'm actually going to grab VibeSheet. I'm going to slide it over next to the code editor and just to make it easier to migrate. Now, all of these files that say GS can technically go into the same file, and you can have really large ones, or you can create individual ones. Totally up to you. For me, I tend to do single files for bigger things, but I do break them out. It can make it less cumbersome. But I think 1,000 to 2,000 lines of code in a single file is probably a good amount. If you get more experience and you understand, how to troubleshoot these, it maybe doing bigger files is okay. But I think for this exercise, I would put it all into the same. So all I'm going to do is one at a time. I'm going to go down and cut and paste these. Now, here's the problem. If you just click on the cell and click copy, what's going to happen is you get quotation marks in the beginning. Not a big deal. As long as you were to remove those, the code will work. The other way to do this is if you double click 1, 2, and it expands this. Then if you click in here and do Control A, then Control C, you don't have those quotation marks, and then you just hit enter a couple times. It's a little bit more clicking, but it's not bad. So I hit enter here, double click, and then Control A, Control C, and then I paste that in and couple enters. So I'm just going to work my way down this list. This one's flagged in red, so maybe we'll take a look at this is a potential thing to fix, but let's see, Control C. I'm not worried about it though. I'm going to try running the code and see if it runs. If it fails, we'll take a look at that. Maybe we'll take a look at that error. Control A, Control C. And so all I'm doing is working my way down. I'm hitting enter. And I come down to the next one. It's another GS file. So Control A, Control C, and then Control V to paste it in. I hit enter a couple times. So again, I'm just adding it all to the same file for right now because Google Sheets is pretty nice that way. Control A, Control C, and then we'll paste this in. Where you develop, you end up maybe needing to do different things. Typically, you want to keep all these files separate, but Google Sheets lets us get away with this. Okay, so we're on the HTML one right here. So we need to Control A, Control C. We need to come over and put this into the HTML. The other thing is it says untitled.html. The code should be where you're grabbing the name of this file because it's going to call this file for Google Sheets, and you're going to rename, paste that in, hit enter. Should be good to go now. All right, so then we'll hit enter, and we're down to just a few more. Hit enter a couple times. Let's see. Oh, wrong file. I made a mistake. So Control Z will get me out of it. This is the HTML file. I got to go back to the code file. Let's see. I think I did something. Oh, come on. What did I do wrong here? Hold on. Let me just do the HTML real quick again. Control A, Control C, Control A, Control. There we go. Let's try. Maybe there's an error. Style params has already been declared. So we'll go look at that. That's showing an error on row 69 in the file. So that's fine. We'll go take a look at that in a sec. Let's just finish what we're doing. Okay, back onto this. So now we'll do Control A, Control C, and we'll go back over code.js. And here we're adding in all of our code. We'll go hit enter, go to the next row. We got 2 left here. So Control A, Control C, paste this in, and then we'll do one more. And this is going to be it. Control A, Control C. All right. So now let's click save. Let's see what error comes up. There we go. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this error. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up ChatGPT. And I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm going to say, fix the code for this error. And then I'm going to do a colon. And all I want to do here, without having to think too much about this, is I'm just going to paste in all of the code. And then we'll let ChatGPT take a look at it. So let it guide you on this. You won't have to worry so much. You're declaring style parameters twice. Just remove the second one. So this is the second one. So if we control, if we copy this and we go here and we do Control F and we paste this in right there, we found our line. So it looks like it's saying we could delete this. Let me double check here. Second declaration error. Just remove it entirely because it's declared and accessible as a constant. Okay, so it's available globally. So you can just remove it, it's saying. So that's fine. And that's the error we got, our line 69. So watch, if I click save again, you'll notice it says style parameters has already been declared 69 in file code.js, which is this one right here. So to add comments to, gray things out, you can do these 2 slashes. And if I hit save, it's commented out, as we call it. You'll notice it's saved. So that's fine. I'm going to leave it for now. No, I'll take it out. We'll just do what the AI says, and then we'll save it. And that's it. So nice thing is this chat has our code, so we can go back and visit. So it's saved, all the code's in place. Now I need to go and test this thing. So I'm done with the vibe sheet now. So I'm going to move my tab back over, and I'm just going to work now on these 3 tabs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit refresh, and I'm going to X out of this table here. And let's see, I'm going to name this SEO scraper. All right, so I noticed that the menu didn't appear. That's okay. We're going to go and find out why. So we're going to go to extensions. We're going to click on app scripts again. Every time you click refresh, by the way, on these sheets, it's going to automatically close this window, I've noticed. So if I come here and I refresh, and I'm trying to get that little menu to appear, you'll notice that the script, the app script tab disappeared. So you have to come back to extensions, click on it again, open it up. It's a silly thing that Google's doing, but that's what they're doing. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's any failed messages. So I'm going to go to executions here, and we're looking for failed. So it says failed, right? Twice. These are the tests I ran. So I refresh this sheet. It caused this. So you're going to come here first, see if there's anything failed, open this up, and then here we go. So let's copy this and say, fix this next error. Oops. And then I'm just going to paste this all in. Code review. Your function is this. This is an object, not an array. Convert the object to an array. I'm curious what was in the original sheet for that line, if that had anything to do with it. Check this out. Change sheet name to an array. So this could have helped you as well by taking this. This is the error from VibeSheet. Does this fix the issue? I'm just curious. I think they're, yes. So it's that thing was pending. So maybe another cycle would have caught it and cleaned it up. So here's the error, 2 valid fixes. Here's option 1, and then here's option 2. So, and there's a recommendation, go with option 1. And if, yeah, then if some places depend on, then go with fix 2. So we'll just add this. So Control C, and we'll come back into the code, and we'll just put it at the top where it makes sense here, just somewhere easy to go and track what we added. You can organize this later however you'd like, but right now I'm going to leave that here just so I can track it. Easy to find right now. So I'm going to refresh. Let's see if that fixed the problem. Nope, there's something else I needed to do. So let's find out what. Let's open this back up. We're going to go back to the executions. We still got the fail. All right, so let's see here. There's something else here that I should have done. So besides doing that, so let's see. Still getting error. What do I do next? And then what we'll do is, now that I give the error, I'm going to give it all of the code again, just to give it all, right? Make it easy on you. Now, some apps, when you're building them, you can only do file by file. So I would have just given it the file that had the issue, and that would have worked as well. We have 2 conflicting versions. That's why. So we did actually already have the sheet name. So what I can do is, because I already had it, so I'm gonna do a Control F, and if I click here, I can Control F. As I highlight that, it'll automatically add it here, and I'm gonna cut this, and I'm gonna go find where this other one is. Here it is. So this is the problem. This should have been like this, I believe. So we'll take a look here. So I'm going to save. I just replaced that one. Add a little space, give it some room. All right, so I'm just following what ChatGPT is telling me. I'm not trying to overthink this. I'm just asking it to look at things, fix it as I find it. There you go. So check this out. I now have my menu appearing. So it looks like we passed the fail. So we can go back, and just to confirm, if you wanted to, you can go to executions again, and you'll notice that it says completed. So we did pass. So if I click now and I click open SEO sidebar, let's see what happens. Okay, I have to authorize. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to go through the authorize process. You should be very familiar with this because you've had to have done it to use VibeSheet. And then once I do that, sidebar will automatically open. So there's my sidebar. And how this works is, I could optimize the code where I click on the sidebar and it opens up everything. But here it looks like I have to, whatever I highlight here, whatever I select, it looks like I get a big button down here. So you could always optimize this, but this is the sidebar it gave me. It's kind of cool. So initialize, and then if I click initialize sheets, it's auto building sheets for me. That's pretty cool. So I've got a title. So this is going to take the URLs and then give me titles, headers. So I'll put in URLs and it'll give me all my headers. Meta. So I'd put in all my URLs and I'd get all my meta. And then it has a dashboard. Interesting. Very cool. So this is what I requested. It's coming out a little bit different than I had thought. It looks like you can put a URL in down at the very bottom. So, at this point, you'd go through and start testing everything. So what we would do is https://SeanAltman.com. We're going to feed it my homepage that I have up right now. It's just a test site. It's nothing really important. Let's put that there. So I'm going to go ahead and add this into all the sheets so I can start testing just to make sure it's working. I think that's it. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape just to get rid of that highlighted section. So I need to come back over to my sidebar, click on title scraper, and then run title scraper. Again, you could run this menu back into ChatGPT and clean it up. So if you wanted to change how it does all these things, like you just want to have buttons, individual buttons for the scraper and all that already laid out, you could. It just did it this way, which is kind of cool. It gives you a lot of space to add different components and stuff if you want to expand this tool. All right, so click run title scraper, see what happens. That's pretty cool. We've got, my title coming back. There you go. That worked. So we'll do the headers next and run scraper. Let's see, run headers scraper. Looks like it's working so far. I mean, this is pretty cool. Looks like it brought back a lot of anchor tags, probably inside the anchor tag. So this must have been inside of the headers. So if I wanted to, I could write code just to strip away these. So I could say, hey, if you happen to find the header is surrounded by anchor tags, go ahead and remove. So I could just go through and optimize the code with ChatGPT. Would be pretty simple to do. And you could literally just go and ask it to do that. Hey, like check this out. What we could do is take a screenshot of this and we can go back to ChatGPT and we can just say, I am seeing these A tags. Like, let's say you don't even know what the anchor tag is. You just call it an A tag. Call it whatever you want. These A tags, I'm seeing these A tags present, but we only want the header text. Can you update to remove these if you see them? Hit enter. And let's see what it does. might tell me exactly what to do. Fix code. So here we go, parse headers. So locate the parse header. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on this, Control C. I'm going to go find that function in my code, Control F, and then I'm going to hit enter until I find the function. So here it is. Let me just make sure there's no duplicate. There is a duplicate. So there's a few of them. So it looks like we got duplicate functions, unfortunately. Yeah, interesting. So what we'll need to do is only keep one of them. What I would do is just keep the first one. It looked like it worked fine, and that's what we're going to replace. So a little bit of cleanup here. Just something I thought to check out. You don't have to do this, but if you happen to see duplicates, you might as well just get rid of it. The code did try to not do duplicates. I do try to enforce that, but it looks like it's happening. So I'll see what I can do to just keep pushing that further to make sure we don't have duplicate functions. And then anyway, so here we have this code and we're going to replace this whole thing. One trick I learned is there's a little caret here. If you click it, you can open and close the function. So if you close it, it's just easier to highlight the whole thing. And then you can just Control V and you'll paste right over it. So there's that version. So hit save. And that's that. So let's see what happens. I'll just delete all this data and see, and we'll do the run the headers scraper again. There we go. Check that out. Yeah, let's see. It's interesting. It put all the headers into the same, it separated them all out. So let's see. Hold on one second. We'll do one other thing to fix this. We'll tell the AI what it did. So let's do one more fix. You don't have to do this stuff. It's just me tinkering and optimizing on the fly, but I think it's worth fixing stuff just so it works how you want. Please adjust functions so that we lay out the headers into the correct columns. This is getting into vibe coding because essentially I'm asking the AI just from simple requests to solve things. I'm not necessarily reading this code, right? I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, I'm going to trust that it's going to get me there. And this was not possible about 6 months ago. I would have had to have looked carefully and read this. Like I've been reading AI generated code now for 2 years. So it's kind of a pain, but it's way better in the last 4 months. So this is awesome. Being able to do this is really cool. So let's re-highlight. I'm going to highlight everything, resize it. I'm going to get rid of this data, and then we'll try one more time. And it's only H2. I wonder if, let me look at this one more time. Oops. I'm going to ask one more time, make sure it's doing the right thing. Scene H2. Please add to the other columns if there is no other headers, or we need to add these into the correct column. Oops. I think, as far as like fixing code and debugging, I think this is an important thing. Did the code come out and work? Technically it worked, but it's not how I want. So I would consider it, I don't know if it's a bug or I just would want it this way. And the AI tried to do the first attempt, but it just got it wrong. So let's do that. Hit save. And let's try one more time. So I'm going to delete all this, and then we'll run the headers again. Interesting. Where is that stuff being laid out? Yep, I am still only seeing H2. Can you please check the code if there is no header, for example, no H1, then please add that to the cell that there is no header available. Let's do one more of these. I know I'm kind of going on here, but it's working. I mean, technically, VibeSheet gave me some working code. It laid stuff out. It gave me a sidebar, multiple sheets, like all sorts of functionality. Yes, it duplicated a few functions, but easy enough to clean up. Let's take a look at this. Control C, Control F. There we go. So here it is, and we're going to replace this function. So we're going to copy. We're going to paste over, save, and then we'll come back to the Google Sheet and retest. Run header scraper. There we go. So check that out. So it's finding my H2, but it's not finding anything else. So there you go. Pretty nice to have. Meta, let's see what we get for meta scraper. If I click that. Looked like there might have been an error. I saw an error pop at the bottom. It says failed app config. So let's do this. We just say getting error for meta scraper, and then hit enter. So I mean, look, I'm just saying getting error for meta scraper. I just copy and paste the bug or the error log. I'm just pasting that in and letting it do its thing. In your function, you're using this, but there's no variable or object called app config. Replace with this. So what we need to do is we need to find this and replace it. So we're going to come back to the code. We're going to do a control find. And right here, it says run meta scraper. And right at the top, it's literally right here. And so we're going to use this one. This is the version it wants us to use. And there you go. So you can see the before and afters right here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this top one I commented out. Just don't need it. You could leave it and test it. But yeah, so let's see. We'll run the meta scraper again. Sheet not found. Okay, we got another error. See what happens. So this, for some reason, oh, there's the log. Sheet not found. Okay, another error. Okay, update function. You know, it did say we need this get sheet names. This right here. So it might be, it already told us what it probably needed. Funny enough. So run meta scraper. I wonder if we add this in. I just noticed it. Run meta scraper. Sheet name. Get sheet names. Let's see. Get sheet name. So maybe this is, we could try this real quick and see. But let's see, what did it tell us here? Yeah, it's doing what I'm doing right now. So basically replace that, what we just found with this. So kind of just did the same thing. Yeah, final working version. So this is the version we should be using. You know what I'll say is just go ahead and give me a fully updated Metascraper. So provide, this is a trick I learned, provide the Metascraper as a cut and paste with the updates. I don't even know if you need to add with the updates at the end. And here we go. So what we'll do is we'll actually get a version that we can just copy over this. So we've got 300 line 376 down to 412. So we just want to make sure the function's about this size that makes sense. You don't want it to be overly small, like it's stripped out a bunch of code, or it'd be obvious if it looked like it didn't do a good job. Sometimes you can tell, like it was 300 lines, now it's 50. Like something went wrong. Like you shouldn't cut and paste that in. You need to review and maybe have it provide you a full version. So anyways, I'm going to highlight, paste in. If I shrink this back down, let's see here. I should be able to, there we go. So 422. So it added like 10 lines. Interesting. Okay. So now I saved. So this little save sign's grayed out. We're saved, and we're going to run this Metascraper again. There we go. Error. Markup in the doc procedure room must be well formed. Curious if it gave me an error in here, if there's like a log. No, it just says completed. Oh, here we go. I think it's just saying that markup in the document preceding the root element must be well formed. It may be something going on with the site, like it can't scrape the meta. So let's go here, and if unable to get meta, then provide message that says meta not available. Otherwise, please add to the columns. We're going to do one more, kind of just debugging this. Hopefully you get the idea of how to use ChatGPT to quickly fix stuff. Some of this I'm just kind of doing a little extra, but it's nice to have it working how I want. So that's the important thing. But, this video has been 30 minutes. So it's been literally, I'm able to have a bunch of sheets, a sidebar, everything's working within 30 minutes. I ran the code, so everything got built out. Now, if you had a really good size project, this would speed you up a lot. This is kind of a mini thing. I'm just doing a small little scraper, and it's working. The code came out. If I wasn't talking to you, I probably could have gone even faster and been down to like 20 minutes. So I don't think, it's going pretty good actually. So to be done with this whole thing, like, for me to be able to run the, see, not available. So for me to be able to run this tool, like step away and go do something else, have it build code for me and come back, and like literally my time was inputting my notes. Maybe it took me 15 minutes if I want something quick like this, and then for me to come and work on them. So within 40 minutes, I have all this generally working. Dashboard's interesting. Generate dashboard. There we go. So it's funny it didn't say there's any errors, even though some of the stuff's missing. I don't know if it's, I'd have to look at that a little bit more, but that's kind of fun. I don't know if you really need that. And then the last thing would be to test this thing on the bottom. But I think you get the idea. I don't want to keep going on, but really I have a nice sidebar that I could, optimize. Like maybe I'll do one last thing and I'll show you how easy it is to adjust this. Adjust the sidebar to remove the menu toggle and simply have individual buttons down the sidebar. And then we'll get it to redo that. It's just a style preference. I think I would want to expand it and have buttons there and be a little bit different. So right now it's going through and giving me a copy and paste version. So I should be able just to copy and paste this directly into AppScript. And then from here, I mean, you can do a lot of expanding, right? Like if you know like what you want your tool to do and extra, and if you want to bring in more SEO features, you could. I'm going to save this. Now from here, I've got to go up to this main menu up here and then click open sidebar and relaunch the sidebar. There we go. Initialize sheet, run title, run header, run meta, generate dashboard. There you go. I like that a lot more. So if I were to come here and relook at this, I'm going to run the title scraper. And then boom, it's all there. You notice it had a really nice interface there with the spinning wheel and stuff. Like, check this out. It's all grayed out. It's thinking. Like, how cool is that? Like, that did that for you. Like, so cool. And it's got a dark theme and all this stuff is in place. Like, it's really neat. Anyways, hopefully you can see the power of the vibe sheet and bringing ChatGPT together. Power, I don't know, it's an interesting word. How efficient it is. I mean, for you, you would have had to talk through. I want a sidebar, and I want this, and I want these sheets, and you'd have to build out all these functions, and you didn't have to worry about all that. You just had a base, you threw it down. Maybe there were some repeat functions, not a big deal. We can go and do some cleanup, things like that. So it's working. I'm curious what this says. The tool is working. How many errors did we fix? Let's see what it says. So we're at, like I said, I mean, I've been talking. If I wasn't talking to you, I probably could have gone a lot faster and had this done in 15, 20 minutes. 6 things. We had to fix 6 things. Not too shabby. I mean, considering AI just spat out a bunch of stuff and we stubbed in and we did the best we could to get out code. And this is a phase 1 of the vibe sheet. I mean, this is only going to get better. If we can get this down and if I can figure out how to get rid of this stuff and optimize it, we're going to be off to the races. So I think this is some really neat stuff here. So that's it for the demo. I'm trying to think of anything else that you might want to know. So there are other apps and tools and things we can build, WordPress plugins. I know other people in the group are building all sorts of different things. And people are building up WordPress plugins and having that up and running in half an hour. So, about the same amount of time as I just built this. A lot of it is just finding the bugs and the errors. So you find the logs, go in there, find where the problems are, optimize them. You can cut and paste quite a bit of code into ChatGPT. I've pasted in over 5,000 lines before. Now every environment's a little bit different. Like I said before, you might end up having, here, remember we have all these different rows, right? You might have apps that have separated files. Like if you're building an Apple app, that's really how you would do it, is separate files. And all you would do is take that individual file and you would paste it into ChatGPT. Or, you could actually take all these file names and you could ask ChatGPT what file to look into, and it will do it. So there's a couple of ways to do it. What's really nice about having the sheet and all the code in one place is you can actually click on process title and highlight all of these files like this. And then we can say, here are all the files. And then you could say, here is all the code, and then we could ask it to fix something, right? So what's really nice about this is, let's say you moved all of this code over to your app and you have it in individual files, but you just want to be able to give it everything to prime up the AI. You could actually just use this sheet like this, and that's fine. So, like we could say, are there any duplicate functions and clean up that is required? And this might be like your last thing you do. And then from here, it'll tell you an analysis of what it is you need to do. Like I said, in my code, I do attempt to remove all this stuff. And what's been coming up is like, Sean, why is this better than using an IDE? Like, I could have just done this on my own. This example is very simple. You Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of cleanup that needs to happen. So the good news is I would leave the first one and just remove the second one. So you could go through and do that for each one of these. But that's it. There's really not that many. So I'll come back to the code and I'll figure out how to solve this, because this is something we should be able to solve. A lot of this is just because we're building out all these different rows. So that's something that we have in place. Like the foundation of getting this to work is all there. It's just optimizing it to ensure this happens. But a lot of people, I've had people ask me like, why should I use VibeSheet? Like, what is VibeSheet doing that I can't just have done? Like, I could have within a half an hour tried to build out this app. And yeah, I mean, if you're efficient and you have a good understanding of things, but if you don't, especially if you're newer or you're intermediate, like a tool like VibeSheet where you can just type in what you want and have it lay all the files and code out for you, even though if there's a few little errors like this, it's easy to clean up and it's easy to get working, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of like what to do. And if you want to build much bigger, robust projects, for you, if you have experience, that's going to be a benefit, right? Because you can give it a lot more detail and context and things you want. Like, I've built out things with over 20 functions, AI, API stuff, all that, and it's built it all out. And then I have something really robust to go and work on. And that would have taken me at least a few days or a week to figure out. It did it in, under an hour. And then I just need to go through and start polishing and tinkering on it and get it working. So to me, like, this is pretty small stuff. It's just saying, what to go fix and clean up, and then you've got yourself a solid little tool. So to me, using ChatGPT to help you clean stuff up, and you had VibeSheet help guide you through the process, I think is pretty neat. And like I said, if you're going to build bigger stuff, you want more functionality and polish, like that's where VibeSheet can really help out, is building out other more complicated things, right? Where you've got to think through it all. And it's just saving you time. Like, you would have had to have typed in, I want this sheet, I want this. And usually ChatGPT gives you one or two or three functions at a time. So you would have had to have, build all this out. You probably could have had it done in half an hour to 40 minutes. So the time you spent getting VibeSheet to run, you probably could have built this by hand, but it gave you a really good starting point. Like, would you have thought to design the menu like this? Would you have thought to do, the different layouts and things like this, like a little dashboard? You might not have thought about a lot of these things. So it's giving you like a leg up, which I think is really cool. So pretty soon we'll have it where it's a lot more advanced, and making things look even fancier. You can feed it documentation, all sorts of stuff. So anyways, I'll go ahead and end here so this video doesn't go on and on, but hopefully you appreciate this. And yeah, I'll catch up with you in training. Cheers.